My name is LQ, and this year in the NBA, 2022 has basically finished. So I wanted to talk about the NBA season as a whole and the different teams, the New Year's resolutions each team can have coming into 2023. Some of them will be long, but if your team's bad, I apologise. It'll be really short. I'm talking about the Lakers. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks, they ended up the 8th seed in the playoffs, ended up playing the 1st seed in the Miami Heat, ended up losing, getting gentlemen swept 4-1. And they thought they needed a bit of defense in the backcourt, so they added in Dejounte Murray, but it hasn't really worked. It's a bit of my turn, your turn offense. I don't really like it that much. But they've made a good draft pick in AJ Griffin's 16th pick, even though it's projected in some drafts to go in the top 10. Ended up picking him up in the 16th pick, which is still a good pick. For me, the New Year's resolution of the Atlanta Hawks is trade John Collins. Trade him, let him go. Send him to the Suns, send him somewhere else. All these trade rumors aren't helping anyone. Just get rid of John Collins. And stop this my turn, your turn offense. Just have a function offense. Let Trae Young run it, because Trae Young can't play off ball. DeJounte Murray's doing something, Trae Young can't do anything. For the Miami Heat, I want to say nothing's changed. They ended up the 1st seed. But I mean, they're not the 1st seed right now, but they're still a decent NBA team. But they haven't changed their lineup at all. The only thing that's happened is they've lost PJ Tucker. Tyler Hero starts now as well. Ended up winning 6th man of the year last year, and now he's starting. Ended up being their main scorer. Jim Butler could probably be their main scorer, but because they haven't got that glue guy, Jimmy Butler's currently being that glue guy. They drafted Nikola Jovic, who hopefully ends up being like Nikola Jokic for them. But I don't know, he hasn't had a lot of minutes. I haven't got enough to talk about him. So for them, I feel like what they really need to do in the new year is maybe get a new point guard. You don't need you, but you need a new glue guy. You need someone else, maybe a Jay Crowder or someone like that. Someone that can come in and seamlessly fit together the team. Next, it's the Mavs. Made it to the Western Conference Finals and only lost to Stephen Curry and Co. with the Golden State Warriors. Luka Doncic is one of the best playoff players of all time, it looks like. He just turns it up to a different level when he gets to the playoff. We saw the Game 7 game against the Suns where they just demolished the Suns, and Devin Booker and Chris Paul couldn't hit a shot. That game is a certified hood classic. They had one big trade. They traded Kristaps Porzingis and one second round pick for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. We thank you, Dallas, for that trade. But yeah, they ended up with Spencer Dinwiddie, who's ended up being a good secondary ball handler. But I feel like they need a tertiary ball handler. That's the one resolution I'd give them. You need someone who's able to run the second unit and create plays and play make. Spencer Dinwiddie can score, but he's not as good a playmaker as most other point guards are. So you need someone else. I know they just got Kemba Walker, but Kemba Walker's not good enough anymore. I liked Campazzo fit with them. Campazzo, however you pronounce it. I like that fit with them, but they got rid of him, Kemba Walker. So they got to deal with that now. One other thing they need to do, they need to make their shots. Luka Doncic is giving people open looks left, right and centre, and Tim Hardaway Jr. hasn't had the best shooting year. Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't had the best shooting year. Reggie Bullock definitely hasn't had the best shooting year. So they need to have better shooters around Luka. Either make your shots or trade in shooters. Davis Bertans as well. He's not the shooter that Wizards paid him to be. Next is the Lakers. Give LeBron more shooters. Next is the LA Clippers. They were the 8th seed, even with Paul George being half broken, came back and decided to start scoring on everyone. And they've added in John Wall since then. So even though they got bounced in the 1st round of the playoffs, they've now got backup in John Wall coming and being able to run the second unit because he's not starting. Hashtag start John Wall. Start my guy John Wall, man. Start him. Start my guy. And Kawhi's coming back, so hopefully they can fit him in. So their New Year's resolution is start John Wall and make sure that Kawhi can stay fit. Golden State Warriors, they've let go of a lot of players, but they won their championship with the ever-present 4, with their dynasty. They've cemented themselves as a dynasty, one of the best teams of all time, but a lot of the people that helped them get to that championship, they let go. Juan Toscano Anderson, Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton II. Is it Otto Porter Jr.? Yeah. So I feel like they need more players that can play now, that can knock down shots and play perimeter defense. So I feel like a player like Alex Caruso would fit them quite well. And we'll get to the Chicago Bulls later. I feel like they need to blow it up. And Alex Caruso would be an amazing trade piece for the Golden State Warriors. So for them, trade for more perimeter defenders, trade for more glue guys, and then also develop your youth like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. And I think it's time to give up on the Wiseman project. Send him somewhere like Detroit. He could eat in Detroit, but he's not going to eat on the Warriors. I think it's time to give up on that. Next is the Nuggets MVP, Nikola Jokic, 2-time MVP, and probably my front runner right now for MVP this year. He hit his MVP last year. They lost to the Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. Jokic played quite well, the rest of the team didn't, but now he's got MPJ back, he's got Jamal Murray back. They're currently the first seed in the West. So I feel like give them time and they might surprise people. I think they need to get Jamal Murray back into full flow, and they need a secondary big man, because DeAndre Jordan is not an NBA level player right now. Getting Dwight Howard, getting Boogie Cousins, but why you have DeAndre Jordan on your roster, I have no idea. Washington Wizards, my favorite team, the Wizards. We didn't make the playoffs last year, but Bradley Beal was injured, so that was our excuse. And now we have Bradley Beal, Porzingis, Kuzma. We have a big three essentially, and it looks like Kuzma's going to opt out, so that's great. Bradley Beal's injured, on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. Porzingis looks alright though. I feel like we're not going to blow it up. We never are going to blow it up. So because we're not going to blow it up, we need a good point guard. We need a point guard that can pass. I like Monte Morris. We traded for Monte Morris and Will Barton. I like Monte Morris a little bit, but Jordan Goodwin needs to start for us, or Delon Wright needs to start for us, or we need to get a better point guard. And we need a 3-and-D wing, because our perimeter defense is Denny, and when Denny's not on the floor, we have nothing. Delon Wright can do a little bit, but Delon Wright can't guard wing, so we need a 3-and-D wing that can knock down shots as well. Like our best 3-point shooter right now is Corey Kispert, who's a decent shooter, but other than that, it's Bradley Beal, who's sometimes amazing, sometimes terrible. Shooters and defenders is what we need, and passers. We need everything. We need everything. Next, the Philadelphia 76ers. This year, Embiid finished second in MVP. Unlucky that Nikola Jokic existed, but he had an MVP caliber season last year. He's having an MVP caliber season this year. They've added in new pieces like Montrezl Harrell. They added James Harden this year. They added D'Anthony Melton this year, and they're really building a championship quality team. You need to feed Embiid and need to play defense without fouling. That's one thing the Sixers never do. They always get into foul trouble. So they need to play defense without fouling. Other than that, built a championship quality team. Next is the Charlottes. This is a rebuilding team that it feels like needs to blow it up again while they're rebuilding. It's crazy. They have LaMelo Ball. It looks like they're going to re-sign Miles Bridges, even though he's done some bad stuff. But it looks like they're going to re-sign him. Other than that, Mark Williams needs to start him more, because Mason Plumlee is just starting centre is bad for an NBA team. Yeah, so they need a new centre, or just give Mark Williams more minutes. That's the Hornets. I've got nothing else. Orlando Magic. There's not much to say other than they're a really fun team to watch. Paolo Banchero's really surprised me. They got their draft pick right with Paolo Banchero. He's clearly the best player in the draft. We haven't seen shit, but Paolo looks like a generational player. Watch that video as well. Paolo looks like a real generational player, and they're building something good there with Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Bo, Paolo Banchero. They have something brewing there, and don't be surprised if in the next few years they're a good team. Sacramento Kings, they were a bad team, and then they lighted a beam and suddenly they were good. Kevin Huerter has changed it. Kevin Huerter is their Stephen Curry. He's able to beat the screens, run through, tire out defenders and knock down shots. Kevin Huerter has really been surprising. I liked him on the Hawks, but now he's on the Kings, he looks like a completely different player. For the OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looks like he has MVP tendencies. He's so clutch. He knocked down a clutch shot against my Wizards this year as well. He's so clutch. and his 2-point field goal percentage is ridiculous. He's one of the best 2-point shooters in the league. Minimises the amount of threes he takes. He might be one of the most efficient players in the league, period. Portland Trailblazers, Dame's back, Anthony Simons is developing. They added good pieces in Jeremy Grant, Josh Hart, Nurkic is back to full fitness. Good draft pick in Shaedon Sharpe. They're in the right direction. They just need Simons to develop more because he's a bit inconsistent right now. But he's young, so you can't really hate on it. And Shaedon Sharpe's developing as well. Shaedon Sharpe could look like a player that could run an efficient second unit. Maybe even be a good backcourt with Damian Lillard ahead of Anthony Simons. Because Anthony Simons is the same type of player as Damian Lillard. Can't really play off ball, but Shaedon Sharpe can. At Detroit basketball, they really disappointed me starting this season. Last season I thought, you know what, next season they could be a really exciting team. Especially if they picked up Jaden Ivey as well. And then this season they've just looked flat. I know Cade's been injured and Killian Hayes had to play point guard. But the whole team just, it seems flat, and I haven't been interested in, haven't enjoyed it. For the Detroit Pistons, I've got nothing else to say except tank in peace and hopefully get Victor Wembanyama. Chicago, it's time to blow it up. I know the Wizards should blow it up as well, but it's time for Chicago Bulls to blow it up. The highest they're ever going to get is probably the 8th seed with the team they have right now, with Zach LaVine and DeRozan. So I feel like it's time to trade Zach LaVine. I know you gave him that big bag, that big contract, but he's not a franchise player, I'm sorry. He just isn't. Second option on the team could be really good. And I think it's time to let Patrick Williams develop. You're keeping him behind. We can't see what Patrick Williams can really do. Blow it up, Chicago. Blow it up. Timberwolves, I mean, I wanted to see a jump for Edwards this year. That hasn't really happened. Beginning of the year, he was really good. And then since the season started, he's just been just below all-star level. So I feel like Anthony Edwards still has a jump to be taken. He has so much potential. He has all the world of potential. And hopefully Ant-Man can pick it up and they can really switch it on. I mean, they traded 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert has not looked like the same defensive monster. I mean, I'm not saying Rudy Gobert was amazing before, but in the regular season, Rudy Gobert was a legitimate lockdown defender. But now it looks like Rudy Gobert in the playoffs getting played off the court every week in, week out. It's just terrible team. It's just terrible team building from the Timberwolves. Pacers, I think this is one of the most interesting teams as well. I find the Pacers so boring. When it was the Domantas Sabonis and Oladipo, I didn't care about the Pacers at all. And then they traded for Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. And Tyrese Halliburton has just opened up the world to them. I think Tyrese Halliburton is probably the best young point guard in the league, other than Luka Doncic. Well, other than Luka Doncic, he's probably the best young point guard in the league. Trae Young as well, and Ja Morant. He's one of the best young point guards in the league. He's definitely going to be an all-star this year. And he started off last season, you could see glimpses at the end, from January till about May, you could really see the glimpses of Tyrese Halliburton's play. And then now this season, he's just turned it up to another level, averaging about 10 assists and above 20 points in the league. All-star Halliburton, how far can this Pacers team go, especially with players like Benedict Mathurin, rookie coming in, making a difference. Phoenix Suns, you have to talk about that certified hood classic that we saw in the playoffs when they blew Game 7 against the Mavericks. But Devin Booker still looks good, and that's what's important. It's making sure Devin Booker looks good. They need to get rid of Jay Crowder. It's one of their new resolutions. Get rid of Jay Crowder. Make sure you get in a new piece like John Collins, maybe even Kyle Kuzma. The Wizards should probably trade Kyle Kuzma, especially considering he's probably gonna opt out. Should trade him. We could trade him there and maybe get back. For me, the Wizards should probably, I know we're going back to the Wizards, but the Wizards should probably trade Kyle Kuzma for a player like Fred VanVleet, because the Raptors look like they want to blow it up, and Fred VanVleet is a good quality point guard that is probably worth the same amount as a player like Kyle Kuzma. Raptors, what do you say? Suns, keeping Devin Booker healthy is the most important thing. Making sure you get the most out of Chris Paul is important as well, and making sure you get rid of Jay Crowder, immensely important. Make sure Cam Johnson gets healthy as well, because he could be an important glue guy as well. Bucks, Giannis is Giannis. At the end of the day, Giannis will pull you as far as you can. In the playoffs, the Bucks lost to the Celtics. That's who they lost to, but they didn't have Chris Middleton. They still haven't got Chris Middleton. It's one of the issues they have. But when they have Chris Middleton, they might come back and be a better team and challenge for a chip this year. But we'll see. Giannis is always going to be Giannis. Make sure you get Chris back, and make sure you keep Drew Holiday playing at all-star level. That's the most important thing for them. The Raptors, blow it up. blow it up, trade Fred VanVleet for Kyle Kuzma, blow it up. Kyle Kuzma's an expiring deal, he's going to leave at the end anyway. Gives you more cap space, you can draft players, maybe even get the Wizards draft pick from that, and I'm okay. Actually, you know what, you might even get the Wizards draft pick for Fred VanVleet. Wizards draft pick and Kyle Kuzma for Fred VanVleet. I'm telling you, it makes sense. And then you can rebuild with the cornerstone of Scotty Barnes, and players like Gary Trent can really make a difference, and you can really build something there. I want to see Nick Nurse build something of his own. He's an amazing coach, and he could probably help these players' development to a different level. The Celtics, probably the most enjoyable team in the NBA to watch, probably the best constructed team in the NBA to watch. Made the NBA Finals last year, and Jason Tatum didn't play well, apparently he hurt his hand, but excuses will be excuses. But I feel like the team's even better now. They were on a tear. At one point, they had the best offensive rating of all time, and it looks like they're going to get back to that level of offense. Jaylen Brown's been amazing. Jason Tatum's been playing at an MVP level. Bench players have been amazing. Players like Malcolm Brogdon, Peyton Pritchard, meaningful minutes on the court. And Robert Williams is back now, meaning they can really push on the offensive end and guard on the defense. So watch out for the Celtics, because they're probably the favourites to come out of the East right now. The Nets, what have they done this year? They traded for Ben Simmons and Seth Curry. They signed Yuta Watanabe. They've done quite a bit. Royce O'Neal as well. TJ Warren as well. A lot of players have come to... The Nets look like a good team now. At the beginning of the season, I was questioning how it would work. Ben Simmons has put in a little bit of work defensively. Nicholas Claxton has looked amazing defensively, but I don't know how long that could keep up. So one of their New Year's resolutions might be to get in another defensive centre, just because you don't know how long Nicholas Claxton will be amazing defensively for at the 5. Kyrie Irving's looked really good. He's playing at All-Star level, but knowing how the media works, he probably won't get in the All-Star team. But Kevin Durant as well, playing at an MVP caliber level. You need to watch out for the Nets, because the Nets are coming and they look really good, really dangerous. The Houston Rockets, they're tanking. They were tanking before. I feel like Jalen Green's proven he's a good NBA player, but he can't be the first option on a championship team throughout his career. It doesn't look like he'll ever be that. But still, they look like they're developing talent. Alperen Sengun looks good. Tariq Eason looks good. KPJ looks like he's really developed a lot. And yeah, good team here. They need to trade Eric Gordon. I don't know why he's still there. The Jazz have 1 million first-round picks from the Timberwolves and the Cavaliers, but they look alright. They look okay for a team that's rebuilding. They're gonna probably tank a little bit more as the season progresses. Larry Markkinen looks like he's playing at an all-star level, but they're just at the start of rebuild. I can't really judge their year when they were bad in the playoffs and then they decided to rebuild. Like, I can't really judge anything, can I? Next is the San Antonio Spurs, probably the most boring team that's rebuilding right now, except for, probably more boring than the Detroit. They're playing okay basketball. They win a game every so often. Every win they get is an extra record for Greg Popovich. They're doing what they're doing. You know, they're probably going to tank for Victor Wembanyama. If they don't, they could really use Scoot Henderson as a guard. That would really help them a lot in their development of their young players. The Memphis Grizzlies, for me, they stand a real chance of coming out of the West. I know they lost to the Warriors on Christmas Day, but one loss doesn't define whether they're worse than the Warriors or better than the Warriors. I think they're a better team than the Warriors right now. I like Ja Morant a lot. He's an MVP caliber player as well, and it's a well-constructed team. I need Jaren Jackson Jr. to put up more shots and keep out of foul trouble, and they can really push far. That's the main thing. I think it all depends on their glue guys. It depends on Dylan Brooks not going out and shooting 1 million shots for no reason, and depends on players like Jaren Jackson Jr. actually shooting and not fouling. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've reconstructed really well. They didn't make the playoffs, but they were in the play-in last year, and we saw real development for their players like Jared Allen, saw development for Evan Mobley, Darius Garland. These 3 players were real developmental pieces. We've seen Evan Mobley go from strength to strength this year. He looks like a real polished, amazing NBA player. And so I feel like by trading for Donovan Mitchell, they've proven they can get even further. Now they just need a bit more reps and a bit more experience, a few more shooters in there. Cedi Osman's got injured now, and Isaac Okoro's not shooting the best. A few more shooters in there, and they could really make a push in the playoffs. maybe even get to the Eastern Conference Finals, who knows? So that is all 30 teams. I don't know how I made it through all 30 teams. I talked about some for quite a bit, spoke about some for a little bit, but it just depends on what I've watched. I do want to give a shout out to Luka Doncic for yesterday hitting a 60-point triple-double with 21 rebounds. It's one of the best games I've ever seen. Apparently it's the top 5 game scorer of all time. I need to find out what Jokic's game score of a couple games ago was as well, that 40-point, 20 rebound triple-double as well. But this one by Luka Doncic, unreal, absolutely unreal. That's my wrap up for all of 2022. Hopefully 2023 is as good an NBA year as 2022. And we can tune in to more. Please like, comment and subscribe. And I mean like, I mean comment, and I mean and subscribe. And I'll see you man in a bit. Boom.